Welcome everybody. I would also like to welcome the viewers at home who are watching the meeting via the live stream. Tonight's meeting is being held both in person and via Zoom. Masks must be worn at all times in the council chamber unless addressing the meeting. Please be patient if any technical difficulties arise and they'll be dealt with as quickly as possible. If you wish to speak to an item, please raise your hand so that it can be clearly seen. And when it's time to vote on an item, please keep your hand raised until your vote has been confirmed. Thank you. Just a reminder, it remains mandatory for everyone to have signed in using the Safehold WA QR code or a hard copy register. Brings us to the opening prayer, and if I can ask you all to please be upstanding. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Proud, could you please read the opening prayer?
Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions, to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. And could I ask you, Councillor Sandri, if you'd please read the acknowledgement of country?
On behalf of councillors, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, on which this meeting is taking place, and show our respect to elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. You can take your seats, please. Without prior approval, any recordings of this meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution of council prior to written advice from the city being received. Brings us to the official opening. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare the council meeting of the 22nd of March 2022 open at 6:31 p.m. Item 2, attendance and apologies. We have apology from the CEO, Ms. Stuart Jardine, PSM. In person, we have Councillor Andrea Criado, Councillor Chris Hatton, Councillor Tony Christovich, Councillor David Lagan, Councillor Teresa Olo, Councillor Carlo Perkoff, Councillor Stephanie Proud, Councillor Elizabeth Ree, Councillor Keith Sargent, Councillor Bianca Sandri, Councillor Lisa Thornton and myself. And on Zoom we have Councillor Felicity Farrelly, Councillor Joe Ferrante, Councillor Suzanne Migdale, and we also have our Director of Infrastructure, Michael Littleton. I can see them all. Item 3, approved leave of absence. I have nil. Item 4, disclosure of interest. All the disclosures from the Planning and Development Committee meeting can be found in the agenda of tonight's meeting and displayed on the screen behind me. Councillors, are there any other disclosure of interest this evening? Councillor Sandri.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's in relation to item 5.1, which is the petition close Dundas and Normanby Road Inglewood right of way. As I am a directly consulted party, so it's financial proximity, but we're not determining it, so we'll stay in the room when it's read out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other indications? None. In that case, I'll move on to item 5, which is petitions. Councillors, are there any unverified petitions you would like to present? Councillor Lagan, I believe you have one.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The City has received an e-petition with 14 verified signatures. It reads, we the undersigned do respectfully request the Council close the right-of-way between Dundas Road 49 to 75 and Normanby Road 45 to 69 Inglewood.
Thank you. Are there any other petitions? Councillor Sandri.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have 3 petitions. The first being, the City has received the below e-petition with 10 verified signatures. We, the undersigned, do respectfully request that the Council construct a street footpath along Valerie Street, Dianella, as the current situation is a safety hazard for pedestrians and especially for our kids running, biking and playing outside. Fast cars drive along the street, nearly colliding with kids riding bicycles. Please act on this as soon as possible. The second is the City has received the below e-petition with 12 verified signatures. We, the undersigned, do respectfully request that the Council complete a makeover, renovation and upgrade of local street, playground and park. Our kids are attempting to use the play area during the daytime, after school during the week and all day during the weekend. We are asking for the natural play space equipment to be installed. Please see an example. There is a link there, Mr Mayor. Also, please significantly upgrade the existing landscape to include more native plants and native trees. Please add more sitting areas for adults and kids, such as benches and picnic tables. Very importantly, we are asking for shade sail to be constructed to provide a safe play area for kids. The playground and the local park are significant social and recreational aspects of our neighbourhood. We expect a much better setup to be constructed. Thank you. The third one the City has received is the below e-petition with 13 verified signatures. We, the undersigned, do respectfully request that the Council remove the Dinella industrial area and replace it with appropriate residential dwellings. The residents of the neighbourhood are against the fundamental existence of this industrial area. We see it as a health, environmental and life quality hazard. In the interim, we are seeking for immediate and prompt action about its appearance. The streets are dirty with rubbish and rubble that can be thrown out. Weeds are all over the place, fences are broken. Next to the church there is a vacant land full of rubbish and the fence is broken. On the opposite side of the road there is a business that deals with car bodies and parts. A partition needs to be installed to hide this unpleasant look, especially in front of a place of worship. Some of the building is left with exposed face brick. This also creates a feeling of neglect. There are no verge gardens or trees whatsoever. We are asking for native, low-maintenance plants to be planted at designated appropriate areas. We are taxpayers and we expect much better care of our neighbourhood. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. And we now just need a mover and a seconder for those petitions. Move councillor Sandry, seconded councillor Lagan. And I will put that to the vote, councillors. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 6, responses to previous questions from members of the public taken on notice. All questions that were taken on notice during that meeting appear in the minutes. Item 7, public question time. We've received several questions this evening, so I'll see if, I don't know if everyone is on this list. If they're not here and we've received the question, it will obviously be answered and published in the minutes of this meeting. Hessel De Jong. Thank you. If you'd like to come forward. And as you're first up, if you can just press that bottom right-hand button, you'll see a red light come on the microphone. You can just leave that on for now. And we just need your name and suburb and your question, sir. And you're welcome to take the mask off when you ask it, just so we can hear it clearly if you'd like.
Name is Hessel De Jong, aka Hank. I'm at 119 Clement Drive, Karrinyup. And my question just relates to the annual report. I'll read the question now, if I may.
Yep.
Sorry, glasses. When was the council's 2020 to 2021 annual report first provided to the auditors, and were there any council updates or requests for more information from the auditors, and if so, when?
Thank you. Ms Hawkins.
Thank you through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr De Jong. The draft financial statements were provided to the auditors on the 20th of August 2021, with the audit team commencing their audit on the 6th of September 2021. The audit team conducted the majority of the audit between that date and early October, with the city responding to requests for additional information during this time. With regards to the audit, the city's audit was unable to be completed until the final audits for both the Tamalapat Regional Council and Mindarie Regional Council were completed, as figures from both regional councils impact and have to be reflected in our city's financial statements. So due to the audit opinion for the MRC, the Mindarie Regional Council, being delayed, the Office of the Auditor General confirmed that the city's audit could be finalised on the draft financial statements for MRC prior to that opinion being issued, which wasn't until the 14th of January. So the city's audit was completed on the 23rd of December 2021.
Thank you. Mr Mitchell. And you just have to turn that back on for us, Mr Mitchell, just the bottom. That's it. And your name and suburb.
Robert Mitchell, Karrinyup. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, council officers, members of the public. Tonight, I have what they might call 3 questions, but I've got a bit of background to some of them. And the first one relates to a couple of meetings ago. I think it was Miss Lisa Jack and some others brought up matters regarding the Mount Lawley Golf Club. And I was quite surprised the other day where I read that the council's going around to industries and places where they're developing things and encouraging them to put trees in. And I thought, well, I'll bring that along to council because, and I'll say the question, why is this council administration wasting time going around lobbying people, industry, to plant more trees? All my experiences with this council administration is their very close attention to removing trees. At a previous meeting I heard where a large number of mature trees are to be or were removed from the Mount Lawley golf course. I hope they have not been removed before planting new saplings so many get a canopy cover whilst establishing themselves in a remnant bush. That is how nature reinvents itself. If you have ever gone to Subiaco Council, their park on the corner of Rockaby Road and Heytesbury Roads is a good example of tree action. You can go there, and as soon as you walk in, the temperature drops. It's a proper park.
Yep. So
Now,
is that the first question?
I just want to go a bit further and say that just outside this chamber is a good example of offering someone an incentive to not plant trees. Yes, poor old Lena, stealthy on duty 24/7 for years now. Isn't it? It is not about time you, as a council administration, led by example. The courtyard, after all these years, has not one shade plant tree anywhere. Also, I believe that Lena, I won't go into that, that's a bit of a joke. But really, whoever's reading it can laugh. Anyway,
so I'll provide
I
a
just
response.
wanted to throw that at the council because this building is bland. You drive past and you don't know whether it's an abattoir, a hospital, or what it is. All you've got
Let me answer. I get your point.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the first one is, to be clear, council, the reason administration went out to discuss with developers, council directed at a council resolution, and it wasn't to ask them to plan, it was basically to consult with all the development industry to better understand what sort of incentives would work if we were trying to incentivise more tree planting. It's only one part of the overall plan. In terms of Mount Lawley Golf Club, there's a long list, but to put it plainly, they have planted. So they've removed almost 70 trees over a period of time, which were checked by the arborists. They were almost dead or dying. In that time, they've planted over 3,000 trees and shrubs, so significantly more, and the canopy in the last 3 years has grown by about 30%. In terms of Lena, we'll take on board your comments. Yes, there's a lot of concrete out there. We'll take it on board.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, my next one is now the administration is finally checking the area, roads and public thoroughfare around the Karrinyup Shopping Safari Centre. Please explain and put in writing how AMP Capital, without authority, any authorisation, application, were permitted to install on the public thoroughfare verge large metal plinths. As you know, Mayor, I met you on the site and you indicated they were not approved. This whole issue has been a council / administrative mess. One resident person was on a self-harm watch after someone from the AMP Capital told them a traffic roundabout was about to be installed near their property. This council administration stated they met and explained all the happenings around the shopping centre, obviously not at that time. It also goes, if a resident puts such an object on a verge as a plinth without any authority, the City of Stirling would, without hesitation, prosecute some such violation.
Thank you, Mr Mitchell. And we have met out on site, and look, whilst they were not approved, we also acknowledge the benefits of the wayfinding they provided during the development. We did then issue a temporary permit for their approval. They have since, the ones that are in issue have been moved, and they are approved. In terms of the traffic study, it was a result of a resolution by this council, a motion by Tony Kristovich, and it was to look at, so it wasn't finally doing a traffic study, there was traffic studies done prior to the development. This is now just making sure that everything is working as it should, as you're aware.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. My next question is, I wrote to the council about utilising by modifying a storm drain sump for commercial use at the corner of Pascoe Street and Clement Drive. I explained what could be done, and I was prepared to meet on site and further explain my ideas. Then promptly received a reply that indicated the person replying had never fully read what I intended. Obviously, it was combined arrogance from a council administration that heavily believe they are the font of all knowledge. I have now directly put the proposal to the Water Authority. You, council, know that and address as such. I don't expect any further help from the council or administration. What I'm saying is, if they do it, it's under the Crown, shield of the Crown, and they can lease it out, and that's there. Yes, but as I said, that was. However, it would be great if the Water Authority sees the sump and storm drainage method directly into the ground of the water aquifer. Now, releasing some of the area for development and lease, and this is what I say, as an independent commercial-based business, the city develop off-street parking on the verge that is currently a sandy mess with small trees and dead ones now on the verge. The verge at times has large commercial vehicles on it, including at times City of Stirling vehicles. Signage indicates no parking on the verge. That's been a mess now for over 20 years, the whole area there. I put up a reasonable proposal to make use of it, and with the hydraulics in relation to putting a caisson down into the underwater rectifier, you've got no problems with flooding.
Yes. So,
But
and
it
as
was
you
just
know,
knocked on the head.
I know, and as you know, we've discussed that as well, as in myself and yourself. But we'll certainly look into the parking on the verge, Mr. Mitchell. What I'm guessing you're asking if the parking signs be removed or they stay in the verge.
I'm just saying, if it goes ahead, I ask that the City of Stirling put in some type of angular parking and get rid of that sandy mess that's there, where trucks and God knows what else parks there.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins. Your name and suburb, it's already on, as you can probably.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors, officers and ratepayers.
Evening.
My name is Paul Collins of Dianella, and I refer also tonight to the 2021 financial statements, and I refer to note 24 of the city's financial statements. The Mindarie Regional Council, of which the city is a 1/3 shareholder, entered into an agreement in 2009 with a private operator, BioVision, for that operator to process 100,000 tonnes of waste per year for 20 years. The agreement contained a guarantee from each council member to the operator. The note to the financial statements at 24 goes on to say that the Mindarie Regional Council and BioVision mutually agreed to terminate the processing agreement effective 31 August last year, and that the city's guarantee was called upon and paid to the operator in the amount of $28.33 million, or $85 million in total, from the 7 councils comprising the MRC, Mindarie Regional Council. Mr Mayor, with a detailed explanation, was this a good deal for the city?
I can't comment on the original deal. I wasn't around when it was done. The payout deal certainly was subject of much discussion by the city, and the short to long-term benefits of paying it out early certainly were a good deal for the city. We can provide you a more detailed response in writing.
Second question. In an email message to all Mount Lawley Golf Club members from its president, Mr Greg Forbes, on the 14th of February 2022, Mr Forbes refers to the delay and rescheduling of works in the club's golf course master plan and states that the board has decided this year to progress the replacement of the first green and surrounds and connection to the second tee in line with the course master plan. Has the City of Stirling approved this course master plan? And if so, then when and by whom? And Mr Mayor, if not, then on what basis is the Mount Lawley Golf Club performing capital works on an A-class reserve vested in the city?
Thank you, Mr Collins. I'll get Mr Littleton to provide you some detail on that. Is he able to? Yep.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
The master plan in itself does not require council to approve it. The tree management plan that would be associated with the master plan, however, specifically where it relates to tree removal, is an element that will require council or the city's approval. At this point, we have not provided an approval to that draft tree management plan. That is the subject of ongoing discussions between council, the city and the club. And that will be a matter that council will consider once the final master plan and the tree management plan, which relates to it, is completed and presented to council for its endorsement.
Mr Collins.
I'm wondering whether to ask my third question or give a follow-up. Such was the answer.
We can provide you more detail in writing.
I'll ask my third question, and then that would be best, I think. Mr Mayor, I refer to the aerial photograph dated September 2021 of the whole of the City of Stirling on the city's Intra-Maps website, which, if zoomed into the Mount Lawley Golf Course, shows trucks, a bobcat and tree removal contractors attending to the removal of several trees at the junction of the 14th and 16th greens. I asked the city to compare this photo to its February 2015 aerial photograph, also on Intramaps, and advise if the trees removed at this junction were approved for removal, and if so, by whom and when?
Thank you for that question, Mr Collins, and that has been asked by council as well, and we'll certainly provide you that advice and information. Thank you. It has been 15 minutes of public question time, so I'll just rule to extend public question time. We've got 3 more people, so I will now move on to Deirdre Allen, if you'd like to come forward, please. Thank you. And your first question?
Mr Mayor, Deirdre Allen of Corbinia. Firstly, if I could ask you something, I'd like to clarify. I have made a submission to this council before. In the responses, should I expect maybe to get a written reply or anything? Because I haven't received anything from, say, last November.
Yeah, happy to follow up on that. You should have received something.
I've received nothing. I don't know whether would it come by email or would it be in writing? Yeah.
Yeah. If it was that a question, it'd be in the minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it would be in the minutes of that meeting.
yeah.
But we
so-
can certainly follow up and send them
But
to you.
do you get a personal reply as well, or is it just in the minutes of the meeting?
Yeah, I would have thought you would get a reply as well. So,
No, sorry, no, I haven't,
no,
haven't
no.
received anything.
we'll follow up for you.
Yeah, my 3 questions and a little bit of background, you said I'll try and abbreviate it, are regarding the footpaths for Carnarvon Crescent. As I've talked to you about this before, the background is last October I saw council workers walking around, measuring up opposite me, and went over and asked them what they were up to, and found out there was a proposal for footpaths. Following this, I've tried to get more information, and because I wanted to know where the footpaths were going to go and all that sort of thing. And I also informed my neighbours that I found out that this was happening, and a meeting was arranged. And this was well before Christmas, and I keep being called a community representative, and I'm not. I'm representing myself, and I'm just telling my neighbours, look, this is going on, and I think that's sort of quite pushing it. But we also met on site. A meeting was arranged because, well, myself and another resident, Arthur, sort of arranged it, and then our councillors, Mr. Ferrand here, Ms. Migdale, came along because they heard about it. At this point, I'm sorry, I don't know the meeting was right. And some of our neighbours came along. At this, we received some information that it was going to happen, but not a great deal. But fortunately, in that information, there were some of your engineering department representatives that were able to give us a better idea. Then I presented.
So, Miss Allen, I will ask you to get to a question, though.
Okay.
So something we can help you with.
Okay.
Thanks.
Many of our neighbours signed a petition that was given to this council in the November meeting, for which I can assure you none of my neighbours, I'm not they're representing them, have heard anything more. I don't know, are they going to be replied to? My whole consideration is the lack of consultation with the affected parties. And your consultation document says we will consult. And then I keep getting replies that say, oh, we did a general, we have a footpaths policy around the whole place. Well, the thing is, Corbin is a bit different. It's very green, it's a park-like layout, and the proposal is to put concrete all over it, which, as the previous gentleman has talked about, the environmental consequences, which is all quite interesting, particularly as there's policies for core cities. And I actually don't think that there's been sufficient consultation. Each person is affected in a different way. I'm on a corner, so there's going to be concrete slapped right around the corner of my place, and it could have just been done a lot nicer and talked to about the risks of the safety of everything. So what I want to know is, when might you be telling people? I've had a...
So let me get an answer for you. So, Mr. Littleton, can you provide some information on the consultation, please?
Look, I understand, Mr. Mayor, that that there's been a substantial amount of consultation that's already occurred in relation to this particular path. I understand that Ms. Allen has had an opportunity to meet with the engineering services team to discuss the aspects of the path. Look, I will follow up with those guys and provide Ms. Allen or Mrs. Allen a response directly.
Well, there was a person who had the decency to ring me, who was acting in a position, and we discussed it very carefully. He said letters were going out last Friday that it was going to happen, and so far, crickets. Nothing, no letters. I've received nothing. Nobody around our area has received nothing. And what's that? And for commencement in early April. So 14 days, I believe you're supposed to give people notice.
Thank you. If we can move on to the second question, though. Look, it would be fair to say, though, you obviously, officers have met with you. You've had meetings in my office and we've discussed it. So
But I
It's
had to push it.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise we would have heard
and there's no
nothing.
problem with that. That's your right, as
It
obviously,
would-
to
but
show your
otherwise,
concerns.
what would have happened if I hadn't found out that they were working opposite? Like, what would have happened? We'd have just got 14 days a letter saying, hello, we're shoving all this concrete around your verge. Okay, secondly, the drawings for the proposed thing. I have 27 years' experience in the construction industry, working for the federal government and for Kakadu and Uluru National Park in building and landscaping, this so I can read drawings. From looking at your drawings that were provided at a meeting when we were all out in a park in my area, from what I can deduce, these drawings were prepared in October 2019, because there's a date next to the initials of the person that drew them, and I presume that's what it is. This is nothing. Why? Nobody was spoken to then about this construction that's going to happen, and a community and stakeholder engagement. There's been more than enough time if this is in fact the date on the drawings. And I actually raised issues with the engineering department, and I wonder if any amendments have been done since November to rectify the issues I've raised below. But the particular one is that this footpath that's proposed along Carnarvon doesn't connect with Armadale over the back. It doesn't go past house number 46, where the bus thunders over the hill, and people are really quite scared around there of someone else getting knocked down. The bus has run over a Labrador a few years ago, and it's the most dangerous black spot in the area. And the drawing that I have from November, the path stops and just doesn't, and you're on the grass or on the road. So I don't know whether the department have done anything about that. Shouldn't the paths link up? Are you going to use driveways on Carnarvon Crescent as pram crossings? Because there's no indication of where the path that goes along Carnarvon joins up to the rest of the future paths.
We'll provide you that information in writing.
You're having to relocate 4 light poles because in the fiasco that was the underground power, they put them too close to the curb, and you're cross-cutting 33 driveways, and 75% of which require reticulation, whereas if you put it on the parks that are part of the
I'm sorry, Miss
council-
Allen, this is a question time, though. I need you to get to your third question.
My question is, please can you re-examine the whole route and proposal for this work, because it is really, the proposal is silly.
The simple answer would probably be no, we can't re-examine the whole lot, because I know it's been done several times and that's been taken into account. But if you've got specific safety concerns, I'll certainly be addressed.
Right, safety.
I do need you to finish up now, Miss Allen. I need you to finish up. If you've got a last question.
No path over the dangerous bus route, as per November, whether it's changed. The Queensland back trees, the trees that
Miss Allen, it's not a debate to put a petition forward. This is a question time, so I do need you to ask your question.
I have asked, I'm telling you safety. Do you propose to remove the Queensland black trees that drop death marbles all over concrete and make it dangerous for people walking along?
I wouldn't imagine so, but we'll provide that in writing,
Well,
Miss Allen.
I'm glad I'm drawing your attention to this, because if something happens and someone sees the council, it's now all in writing.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Miss Allen. So that's your 3. And we've also got the full list there, so we'll make sure it's got a full response in writing.
yeah, I think we're going to be in trouble.
Mr. Wheeler?
Mayor Owen, councillors, staff. This is an old one, and it's tickling me because it's all gone wiry inside. Sorry, Simon Wheeler.
I might give you a City of Stirling branded one, Mr. Wheeler. Yeah.
I'm excited. Mayor Owen, my first question. The state government is currently undertaking feedback on the proposed changes to the Planning and Development Amendment Act 2020. The changes include a special matters DAP, which we assume replaces the SDAU, and legislates permanently a 4-year development approval timeframe for DAPs. Measures both initially introduced under COVID emergency legislation. It appears they're symptoms of long COVID. It also does not raise the $2 million threshold for opt-in DAPs, which we were previously promised is the wrong word, but expected. I understand that all councillors can make their own submissions to this, but will the city provide feedback to the state government on these proposed reforms? And will it, in its feedback, request that any reform proposing increased transparency and accountability must at a minimum include for the right for responsible authorities, such as the City of Stirling, to appeal DAP determinations at the State Administrative Tribunal where a DAP decision is contrary to the provisions of the local planning scheme and indeed the recommendations of the City.
Thank you. Mr Rodich.
Thanks, Mr Mayor and Mr Wheeler. The City are aware of the consultation of the DAP reforms, which is part of the State Government's Action for Planning Reform. As part of consideration of those proposed changes, the Council will be provided with a report by the administration. We are currently seeking an extension to the closing period, which is the 22nd of April, to make sure that we can get it to a Council meeting. Just on my review of those proposals, nothing in the content of those talks about appealing DAP decisions.
But we'll take on board your comments.
Thank you. In regard to item 12.1 DS2, in the planning meeting for that item, Mayor and Councillor Lagan noted that some in the community may have taken out of context comments from officer comments in that report. And that was a quote, just like a committee member's comments at the planning meeting about having to give developers something that is technically valid within the context of how can we help developers help us. But it misses entirely the point, and I believe this is lost on some councillors, that this item exists entirely in the context of the city's urban forest strategy. That's what bore it, and that should be taken into account at all times. So, but my question, Mayor Owen, is to the officer recommendations. Whilst mature existing trees provide in the medium term more canopy cover than freshly planted trees, will Council accept and confirm that the officer's recommendations for item 12.1 DS2 tonight achieve a zero net increase in canopy cover and a reduction in the number of trees to be planted in the City of Stirling?
Oh, that might be a stretch, but
yeah, specific to that.
No,
to
I
that
understand what
yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But yes, the officer recommendation as it currently stands doesn't propose to plant more trees.
Okay. Again, item 12.1 DS2, planning incentives for tree retention on development sites. The Urban Forest Plan identified incentivising tree retention through planning incentives as the preferred approach for the city rather than regulation. This did not work prior to the last update to the Urban Forest Plan, nor councillors has it worked since then. Now, Einstein suggested that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is one definition of insanity. It's kind of what I keep doing coming here, isn't it? But anyway.
There's a line there, but...
Yeah. Mayor Owen, we do not have to give developers something, nor, as I think you noted, Mayor Owen, might we scare them away. Developers will continue to work inventively within the boundaries of the legislated planning framework, just as they have always done. So will the city now finally accept that regulation via local laws ensuring enough deep soil and open space is made available on new developments to facilitate tree retention and planting will, unlike the current insanity of banging our heads against the incentivisation wall, be far more successful in protecting and improving Stirling's urban canopy? And if so, will Council finally do something about it?
Thanks for that question, Mr Wheeler, and look, that's certainly up to Council to decide. It is acknowledged, look, that to put that item into perspective, it's just one very, very small part of it. It was a Council's resolution to go out to the development industry and building industry and to see if there was anything that we are missing. It certainly wasn't intended to solve the problems, and the responses were really just a clear not interested.
And
there
were no surprises to
No,
this.
no, not at all.
But what I'm saying.
But it's an important part of the process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Wheeler. And lucky last, Mr Ellis.
Peter Ellis in Corrine. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, staff and fellow ratepayers. Sorry. Can you please advise how much is spent on purchasing new mobile vehicles and plant in the financial year ending June 2020? Thank you.
Thank you. Have you submitted these prior? If not, we'll respond. No. Would you want to try or respond?
No, it's fine.
No, we'll respond to you in writing,
is
Mr Ellis.
In writing.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if maybe you'd sent them through and we had an answer.
No, Mr Mayor, I haven't done
It's
that.
always worth
Guilty.
testing Miss Hawkins, though. She's pretty good sometimes.
Oh, she's right on the ball there. That's no trouble. With reference to the employment of approximately 284 full-time employees in the years 2018, 2019 and 2020, can you please advise how many hours per week each employer worked before being granted full-time employment?
Thanks. Miss Hawkins, are you able to provide some information on that?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Ellis, I might need to come back to you on that one. If you're talking about the casual to permanent conversion element, it needs to be a rostered, so a similar roster for a period of 12 months, and then an employee can request to be converted from a casual to a permanent. But if there's something else that you need, happy to touch base so I can provide that further.
I was just looking for how many hours the people had to work before they were offered full-time employment.
And thank you, Mayor. There's not a specific number of hours. It just needs to be that the hours are consistent for a period of 12 months.
Oh, okay.
I'll provide you some more detail on that, Mr Ellis.
Interesting. Can you apply? Would please advise how many hours per week did the above 284 employees work prior to being employed full time? That's sort of a follow on from that one. Okay, all right.
And we'll respond to you in writing, Mr
Thank you,
Ellis.
Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, everyone. And with that, that brings us to the end of public question time. I will just... Thank you, Mr Collins. And brings us to item A, application for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any requests for a leave of absence? No indication. Item 9, confirmation of minutes. Councillors, can I please have a mover and a seconder to accept the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of 1st of March 2022. Move Councillor Olo, seconded Councillor Hatton. I'll put that to the vote, noting that Councillor Migdale is out of the chamber. Oh, she's Councillor Migdale, she's back in. Okay, that is unanimous, thank you. Item 10, announcements by the presiding member. I will ask Councillor Sargent to start if you would like. I think you have an announcement.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm extremely proud to announce that the city has won the local government category in 2022, the West Australian Multicultural Awards held on Monday the 14th of March. These awards recognise organisations and individuals for their outstanding contribution towards a more inclusive and equitable WA. The City of Stirling has the largest multicultural community of any local government in WA. The City has worked consistently over many years to promote multiculturalism and social inclusion, and to ensure that the culturally and linguistically diverse residents have access to appropriate services that support their full community participation. Now, initiatives within the City of Stirling, the development of a multicultural framework, the Kaleidoscope Initiative, and the comprehensive newcomer guide for the new migrants. We established Stirling Multicultural Advisory Network, and we've been operating as a lead agency in the establishment of Nara Duklan, Healing Centre for Women and Children experiencing or at risk of family and domestic violence. The city's win reflects the long-standing commitment to supporting and celebrating multicultural communities and the dedicated efforts to the teams across the organisation. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
You want me to bring that up or leave it?
I think it's all right if you just hold it up, maybe. Hold it up to the camera.
Oh, it's very flash.
Yeah. And then we can give them a clap. There, well done.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sargent. Certainly a pleasure and a privilege to attend that awards and for the city to be recognised. I think one of the keys, I attended with the CEO and with Mr Brereton, the manager. The significance in that project is it wasn't for a one-off project. It was a significant body of work over several years that this council and previous councils have all been involved in. I think certainly credit to the team behind it. We know how much passion they have for that area. I will now just read another announcement that I have. I'm just going to see if I can grab it here. Apologies. Tonight, I do want to announce Mr Littleton has tendered his resignation at the City of Stirling to take up a position as CEO of the City of Canning. And I just wanted to read a note that I sent out. There is a press release that's gone out from the City, but I just wanted to read a note that I sent out to yourselves, councillors, and to staff today. So on behalf of Council, I want to wish you, Michael, all the very best for your future. Wow, what an opportunity. To be selected for the top job at Canning is a fantastic news. They'll certainly be very lucky to have you, Michael. In my time at Stirling, I can honestly say you've made my journey more enjoyable. Your passion, your intelligence, your capacity for work and your knowledge and your spark will be missed. I certainly appreciated the opportunity to debate ideas with you and also to learn from you. You will leave Stirling with the pride of delivering incredible world-class facilities, infrastructure plans, and your leadership in areas such as sustainability, the environment and asset management will be a lasting legacy for our organisation. In fact, so will all the trophies and the awards from around Australia that you and your team have won for the City of Stirling over that period. The Scarborough Beach development, trackless trams and Stevenson Avenue, Charles Riley, Careen and the Hamer Moyle Pavilions, the Terry Tyzack Centre are just some of the amazing projects you have led in your term here. Michael, your strong management style and personality will be greatly missed, but we're also all very excited for you. Michael, we wish you the best of luck in your future. Well done, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm certainly humbled by all of the well wishes since the announcement came out. I've had a fantastic journey at Stirling. It's not quite over yet. You're a fantastic bunch, and I will certainly miss you all. But I'll look forward to. I do look forward to the opportunities that Canning provides. So, thank you very much.
Now we will move on to item 11, unresolved business from previous meetings. I have nil. Item 12, reports and recommendations of committees. We'll move on to the Planning and Development Committee items. Councillors, do you wish to pull any items out? Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. DS1.
Happy to pull that out. No, oh, sorry, Councillor Ree.
Yes, please. May I have where are we? DS 12.1. My apologies. 12.1 DS2 on page 25, and 12.1 PRS S1 on page 93, please.
Sure. So, councillors, thanks. So let's start with those. So we'll go to item 12.1 DS1, the Local Planning Scheme Amendment number 121. I will ask Councillor Proud, as Chair of the Committee.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I move the committee recommendation that was arrived at P&D last Tuesday evening.
Thank you. And Councillor Mcdale seconding. I think that was, yes. And I don't believe Councillor Sargent is opposed. He just wanted to exercise his right to vote. So unless there is someone opposed, I will put that item. All those for this item, please raise your hands. We have Councillor Mcdale, Councillor Farrelly, Councillor Ferrante, Councillor Ree, Councillor Hatton, Councillor Perkoff, Councillor Lagan, Councillor Sandri, Councillor Olo, Councillor Thornton, Councillor Criado, Councillor Kristovich, and against we have myself, Councillor Sargent and Councillor Proud. That motion is carried. I will now move on to item 12.1 DS2, planning incentives for tree retention, being pulled out by Councillor Ree. Councillor Proud as Chair.
Thank you. I move the committee recommendation as arrived at the P&D meeting on Tuesday evening.
Thank you. Councillor Lagan is seconding that. Councillor Ree, you're opposed or you just got a question? Opposed? Yep. Councillor Proud.
Thank you. We discussed this at length at Planning and Development. Councillor Lagan added in number 4, which was agreed to. The whole recommendations were agreed to unanimously. It's unfortunate Councillor Reid couldn't be here to be involved in the discussion.
Keep it going.
But no, it is. It would have been good value on the evening. There's not a lot I can say that we haven't already said. I think it's a good way going forward. It's a sensitive subject. when you've got developers, we've gone to them, but I guess what many people forget is there are all the developers in the world aren't the big bad wolf. We've got many mums and dads, smaller developers, they're all developers, and you can't cast them all with the same brush. There's reasons people develop, and it could make a lot of difference in a senior couple moving into a retirement village if there's massive tree retention approvals on the site. I think what Councillor Lagan has done with number 4, I think that is reasonable. There was even discussion about that, and there's pros and cons of that, but at the end of the day, I think it's a reasonable way forward. We've got a long way to go, granted, but at the end of the day, we're getting ahead a little bit by little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Lagan, second.
Yeah, thank you,
Sorry,
Mr.
I
Mayor.
wasn't on
Just a couple of quick comments. Number 4 I added in mainly because I don't, in some respects, disagree with what Mr. Wheeler mentioned in the public question time. The incentive to keep significant trees, that's why it's written as significant trees on the site, I believe is something that we should be pushing for. And I discussed at committee that this was an issue previously in Perth and got onto Talkback Radio and became this fisticuffs about how dare councils or how dare any level of government suggest what I can or can't do with my land. The issue is we talk the talk and we should walk the walk. On our budgetary papers, we've got just shy of $2 million that we look at spending on urban canopy and on our Million Trees program. If we can't support the retention of trees in one section of our policy and activities, and yet we spend huge amounts of money in another, for me it's not a good look. We need to be consistent with what we're doing in our Million Trees program and our urban canopy program, and also in the way we try to incentivise, and that's what we're trying to do here, incentivise the retention of significant trees. Look, we all know that when you look at a block and you see it being developed, there are often trees on the periphery that might be saplings or smaller trees, and you will lose some of those. The developments that we're looking to try and promote, we're looking for those trees to be kept. And there's no doubt, if we have number 4 within that, which is why I moved it, developers may well say, yeah, we'll keep that. But there was no guarantee that if we didn't have oversight of what they actually kept in the way of significant tree, that in 10 months, 12 months, 2 years or whatever, or another purchaser didn't come along and take that tree out. So keeping a registry just means we've got some oversight. At some point we may choose to be more or less harsh about what we do if you do take significant trees out, but I think the officers have written a good report. This is a starting point and it's a step forward for us to make sure we continue to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Thank you. Councillor Ree. Just as you're standing up, to the councillors who are on Zoom, there is a message in chat. I'm scared to open up in case I lose you, so if you do want to speak, just raise your hand. Otherwise, it might just be an old press a button. Councillor Ree.
Thank you. Having been on the Environmental Advisory Committee of the City of Stirling 20 years ago, I think I've been to a significant amount of meetings regarding trees, and I'm sure that listening to one more won't make a difference from the whole project. I'm very supportive of the trees, and it's unfortunate people don't understand trees. What I'm concerned is, and I will first take this on advisement through you, Mr. Mayor, is that on item 2 says that the local planning scheme 6.1 endorse the review, whereas 3 says you implement a priority. If it's a review, then you can't implement unless you've done the review, number 1. So could I get that clarified first?
Sure,
Because
Mr Rodich.
it's 2 different things.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Reid, they're 2 separate matters. Point 2 refers to the officers reviewing the 6.11, our trees on development policy, later or in the next financial year. Point 3 refers to, I guess, feedback we got from the development industry saying that, I guess, time is money, and where someone identifies that they are going to retain a significant tree, we will prioritise that development assessment now. That doesn't require, that doesn't need to wait to the review of policy 6.11.
Councillor Ree.
Through you, Mr Mayor, wouldn't you have to look at the policy if you're going to and assess it? Because then where are the guidelines for people to know whether they can or can't do things?
Mr Rodich.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the scheme defines what a significant tree is, Councillor Ree, and in that regard, there's nothing further the officers will need. Once an applicant identifies that to us, we'll check that to make sure that is a significant tree, and we will prioritise that development assessment. That doesn't mean to say that we will just approve that development, but we will give it priority, and that's just one, I guess, one of the incentives we think will make a difference to the development industry.
Councillor Ree.
Thank you. That was a clarification from a number of questions that was raised to me today, so thank you very much for that. On page 34, it actually states that the trees and development to incentivise the retention of trees through development, the amended policy would be advertised for comment. Why is that not put into 2? Because according to this recommendation, there is no advertising for comment. So if it's going to be advertised in accordance with page 34, why isn't that in the actual recommendation, please?
Mr Rodich.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Ree, once we review the policy, we'll put that to P&D Committee and Council, and as part of that, that will resolve, if there are changes to be made to the policy, that those are advertised to the public before coming back to Council for adoption. Like any other planning policy, we go through that process. We need Council to endorse the draft policy. It'll go through a community consultation process and then come back through to Council for adoption. That's all that section's talking about.
Councillor Ree.
Well, then for clarification, the Council endorses a review. Then we're endorsing a review of the policy, which means that it doesn't necessarily come back to Council. This should be actually a clear direction from staff, which we've actually had before. Because when people read the recommendations, the motions, that's if they can find them, which is also a little issue.
Come on, Councillor Ree, let's get on with it.
Well, that is true, can't find any motions. Then that motion should be clear. If no one around here is around the table, then it should be clear that that is supposed to be brought back to Council. So I think that that should be added to 2, if that's the case, to make it quite clear. Then it comes back to the Council or comes back to advertising.
Mr Rodich has already cleared that up, that it will come.
It doesn't say that though.
But it has to.
No, it doesn't. There's things that happen
Councillor
that
Ree,
don't come back.
look, it's on record. It will come back to Council. Let's go.
Where do you ever find this record? You can't find a motion. How would you find a video?
I'll save it myself for you.
That's right.
Keep going.
Number 42, page 42. I still question that. Number 42, page 2.4, a significant risk to providing planning incentives to retain trees that if a tree is damaged or later dies after the bonus has been given, there's no mechanism to rescind the incentive provided. That's true. However, there should be incentive to keep the tree alive. We've actually adjusted that onto DAPS, which Mr Rodich is aware of. Why can't we add that to this?
Thank you. Mr Rodich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Ree, this was discussed at the Planning Development Committee, and where I guess a significant tree is retained as part of the development, the conditions which we would apply, I guess we'll look to, I guess, ensure or that tree is maintained as much as it can be, and in light of if that tree is dies at a time in the future that that development, or as part of that development, another significant tree may need to be planted. But we had that discussion. So when we approve a development with and allow, I guess, a development standard to be waived for a significant tree, we've got to make sure we've got some rigour around that assessment. We will look at an arborist report to make sure that tree can, I guess, flourish in that environment with that development, and I guess look at what conditions we can apply to make sure that someone's not just maintaining a tree for a certain period of time. Once they get that development bonus, then they remove it. So we will apply conditions to development should someone retain a significant tree under the provisions of clause 5.5 of the scheme. And that was discussed in debate last week at the P&D committee.
Councillor Ree.
We actually have discussed that many times about the putting in the 100 million trees initiative, and half of them get planted and then die. But it has been addressed in DAPS, and there is a wording which they now have to insist on. And I look at Innaloo, where most of them have died, and the developers are just eroding it. So I really think that that needs to be tidied up.
Sure.
And make it succinct. Now, whether this comes back to the review. With regard to 3.1 and all the way to 3.1, 3.3, 3.5, it is a developer's paradise. I don't believe we should be supporting developers, especially when we've got an R20 or R30 situation where you get rid of one house and then you've got 4 or 5 units, or then you end up with R40 and you end up with 6, 7 units. There are no trees anywhere, they're just concrete. And then because they can't park anywhere on the verge, they're forever getting rid of the trees. So I just think that this isn't, while this may come up in the review, we have talked about this issue for years and years, and I don't think this is addressing it. So while I'm concerned that it doesn't say that it's going to come back to council, while I do believe we need to do something, I don't think this addresses the concerns at all.
Thank you. I think, if I can just clarify, I think it's important, this item was part of a resolution of this council to go and ask developers what they want. It wasn't about coming up with a solution. So that's why council's endorsed a review of the local planning policy. So this wasn't designed to come up with the answer. It was just asking developers if there was anything we were missing. And they made it clear. So I've got Councillor Kristovich now.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, obviously, as has been mentioned previously, the council spends a lot of money and resources in trying to plant trees and grow the canopy, and we're losing that battle, obviously, because of developments on private and development sites by the trees being removed from there. So it's great to see that the council is thinking outside the box to try and think of other ways to be able to try and save these trees. This is obviously another one of those ways. Whether developers take it on board or not, I suppose we can only try and push in that direction. But I did want to ask a question about this from the point of view of, is it possible, have we thought about having an ability for homeowners to be able to register their trees as significant trees on their own property?
Yes.
So they're preserved on site.
So the original motion that came up from Deputy Mayor Proud was all about that, and this was one of those outcomes of that debate.
Yep. So we're still looking at that other option of people being able to register their own trees? Because there may be lots of people out there who...
There was a significant amount of debate. I'll get Mr Rodich to summarise where we're at with it.
Through Mr Mayor, Councillor Kristovich, a report will be coming back to the Planning Development Committee in May about registering of significant trees on private property. So that's in play. This was, I guess, one part of that council resolution to look at engagement with the development industry and seek feedback on that. The other was to talk about a significant tree register on private property, and we'll come back with a report on that in the next couple of months.
Oh, I've got nothing else.
Councillor Farrelly, were you indicating before? And just take your mute. Yep, I think.
Mr Mayor. Yep. Thank you very much. Look, really interested to see that we've actually moved on a bit from when we first, when I first came on board and we were looking at trees as being an impossible solution. However, I concur with Councillor Ray in terms of the planning department's ability to get this all back to council and everything, because we've just have had a resignation tonight of a director, and I have to say I totally trust the planning director that we have at the moment, but who knows? But the real thing.
So just to be clear, the infrastructure director has resigned, not the planning director, for avoidance of confusion.
No, sorry. Yeah, no. But you know, we have these statements made, and we say yes, everything stays the same, but actually things don't. And well done to Director Littleton. Congratulations. But what I really was looking at, and I know it's been discussed at planning, is there were, am I correct? I'm just asking, 137 applicants in between May and June. Is that correct? And you only got 11 responses from architects, designers, planners, builders, and the Department of Communities?
Mr Rodich.
Thank you.
Through Mr Mayor, Councillor Farrelly, yes, we contacted 137 applicants who submitted more than 2 applications between March 2019 and May 2021. And yes, we did have 11 responses.
through you, Mr. Mayor, to the director, does that concern you that 11 out of, look, I haven't done the stats on it, and I'm not a great, but out of 137, only 11 really could be bothered? I mean, was it a very long process, or was it just, did it just have 2 questions?
But looks, I can probably answer that one. Yes, it was a concern, but I guess council did actually bring that up in the discussions, and it was taken as a lack of interest from that industry.
Thank you. Thanks. That's what I wanted to find out. Yeah.
If there's no further indication, oh, there is. Councillor Hatton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, at the planning meeting, I was expressing that we're all very interested in trees and we know the benefits. But I'm still concerned at point 4 there in the recommendation. And I don't feel like I've got a full understanding of the impact it might be on developers when we look at point 4. Now, if we could have a hypothetical, maybe to explain it, say there's a 1,000 square metre block that a developer's looking at. Let's say it's zoned R40 or R60 or whatever, and they can put 2 to 4 dwellings on it, for example. And say there's 5 or more significant trees on register, then say there's one tree in the middle of the back of the block, there's another tree 5 metres in from the right-hand fence, there's another tree to 7 metres in from the back fence, and we could keep going for those 5 trees. What restriction is there going to be on a developer with, say, 5 significant trees at different locations, and how will it really impact? I don't quite understand.
Yeah, so that's easy. I think Mr. Roddish can clarify that, because it's not something where they can't develop the site. Mr. Roddish.
Through Mr. Mayor, Councillor, the point of I guess resolution 4 is that under the scheme we have clause 5.5.5, which allows, and the city introduced this in October 2017, which states that where a development where a significant tree is supported as part of development, that the decision maker has the power to vary development standards of the scheme. It's not very zoning, but it's very development standards. This can be height, setbacks, maybe parking, a number of standards which are in the scheme. What clause 4 talks about as part of this resolution is that should someone seek a variation to one of those, I guess standards of the scheme, that the city maintain a register of those properties and those developments which have gone through that route. Like in the last 2 years, I'm not aware of any development that has utilised that provision of the scheme. But if someone does, an applicant, then it makes sense that the city maintain a register. And I think through Councillor Lagan's discussion last week with myself that this should be online for the public to view, and it does make sense.
Councillor Hatton.
So if we look at page 31, with the feedback, trees impacts on the development design, and those several points there, none of those are going to be affected, is that correct? Under 5.55 scheme?
Mr. Roddish.
Through Mr. Clause 5.5.5 is, I guess, utilised by an applicant when they want to retain a significant tree. So their view may be, let's talk, if a 3 metre setback, a front setback is required, but they want to vary that to, say, a metre, but on the proviso that in the backyard they've kept a significant tree, we could consider that variation. So in its own right, that's an incentive for an applicant to consider, or a developer to consider, retaining a significant tree on site through the provisions of that clause, and that was introduced by the city back in 2017.
So they're not the city isn't mandating they must retain all significant trees on a site. This is a developer-led incentive.
So the city's not mandating that any of those hypothetical 5 trees be mandated at all?
No.
Okay. I know...
that probably relates more to the previous question, which is a previous debate, which will come back later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I think Councillor Migdale, were you saying hello, or were you indicating? No. Okay, if there's no further debate, I'll go to Councillor Proud if you'd like to close debate.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. That's really good comments from everybody around the table. As Mr. Roddick has alluded to, I should have mentioned there is another part to this report. It was supposed to come together, but it wasn't finished in time to the standard that the officers wanted it. So that will come in April's P&D meeting. So that's going to complement this. But it would have been really good to have it at the same time, but, you know, some things were only human. Thank you.
Thank you, and that closes debate. So I will put that item 12.1 DS2. All those in favour, please. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. I will now go to item 12.1 PRS E1, right-of-way management strategy, being pulled out by Councillor Reid. Councillor Proud as chair of the committee.
I'll move the committee recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Migdale has seconded. Councillor Reid, are you opposed or have you got a question as for the previous one, which you could have said yes, I just got some questions. Well, you weren't opposed, you voted for it.
I had to.
Have you got some questions or are you opposed?
I seriously thought about whether I would oppose it or not.
Councillor Reid, I just need to know, are you opposed to this or are you asking some
On
questions?
page 100, it says about...
Councillor Reid, could you please
consultation.
answer?
Here's my question.
Yeah, I'm asking, are you opposed
Well,
to
here's
it?
my question. No.
Okay, thank you.
There's my question. That's what I said. Here's my question.
Yeah, I asked you a question, that's all right, okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
please? Thank you, sir. On page 100, it states, the right-of-way was advertised for public comment from the final for 10th of November 2009. Right? Submissions during the advertisement were considered by to adopt. The West Australian can advise that all no objections to the request of indication. Now, number one question is, was it, by the way this reads, it was advertised by the Commission, not us, but I was pretty sure it was advertised by us. So could I just clarify that one first?
Mr Littleton?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, the city actually advertised the 2009 right-of-way strategy.
There you go.
That's all right. That's what I actually thought so. We did raise this issue several times, for those that listen, and the public does, that we wanted to relook at it because what was happening in 2009 is different from what's happening now, and the priorities, etc. And we did ask for this to come back for public consultation. The council might have different views, but I don't think we're going to change it too much as a council. But for the people that are living off right-of-ways, for traffic, for anything else, we did ask for this to come back. And I know I've read things where, you know, it says every 4 or 5 years we come back so we can't touch it. However, this is 2009, which is a long time ago. So my question is, when is this going to come back? Because the environment has changed a hell of a lot in 13 years.
Fair enough. Mr Littleton?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, Councillor Ree, thank you for the question. We've regularly reviewed the right-of-way strategy and Council has actually reconsidered the priorities that have been established over time. A couple of years ago, we actually adjusted and amended the manner in which we identified priority for the right-of-way. So it is open for Council to continue to review the rights of way that we undertake. This is really just an opportunity or an ability for us to secure the land. This is the right-of-way program that's identified for 2024. If, of course, Council makes a different decision, it won't necessarily remove the need to secure this land. It just, you know, this is just a program that enables us to deliver a proactive right-of-way strategy moving forward. But this, what's in front of Council isn't necessarily related to the right-of-way strategy or its review. This is just to secure the land necessary to undertake these rights-of-way that are established here.
And Mr Littleton is happy if we review it in 3 months and 1 day. Is there anyone else who's got a question? If not, I will go, Councillor Pratt, if you'd like to close debate. Well, it wasn't really debate. I don't think you opened debate. So let's just go to the vote. I think it was just questions, wasn't it? All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That brings us to the balance of reports. Councillor Proud, if you'd like to move the balance of reports.
I'll move the balance of planning and development reports.
Thank you. And a seconder is Councillor Ree. And all those in favour, please. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. So members of the gallery and those at home, please be advised the remainder of those Planning and Development Committee recommendations have just been adopted by exception resolution. I'll now move to item 13, 13.1. 20. Is it just regarding the, yes?
And my apologies for not asking this question earlier, but previously we haven't had to declare an interest when it involves anything to do with MRC. But considering the financial implications, I'm not quite sure whether or not this then becomes a financial or an impartial interest as an MRC member.
No,
So
I would-
usually in the past it hasn't, but
Yeah,
I'm just seeking clarification,
Mr
please.
Blanchard?
I concur with your advice, Mr Mayor.
No, it's fine.
Thank you. Then I'll just note an impartial interest because I'm an MRC member.
Sure.
And if Councillor Thornton wants to do the same,
Noted.
just in case.
Yes. The advice is you're okay, but yeah, it's okay to do it. Yes, budget review. Item 13.1, 2021-2022 statutory budget review. So I have a move of a motion. Councillor Lagan. Sure.
If we discuss items within the budget papers which are listed as confidential, do we have to go behind closed doors?
I would probably think so.
Yeah, I'd like
Yes.
to move that.
So can I move?
So with your indulgence in, can I suggest we wait till the end of the meeting and we just hold that one till the end of the meeting? That way we can deal with those. So we'll move to item 13.2, notice of motion. Councillor Stephanie Proud, the emergency relief donation. Councillor Proud.
The council approves a $10,000 donation to the Lismore City Council to support the devastated community affected by the 2022 East Coast floods.
Thank you. And it's been seconded by Councillor Migdale. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Sandri? Yep, that's right. Councillor Proud?
I'm sure anyone speaking against it really is not wanting to withhold it. Perhaps they want it.
Sorry, Councillor Proud, I'm finding it really hard to understand you. Yeah,
Sorry,
that's,
I can't understand myself.
yeah.
I thought there may be a few queries, and it may be. I've had a couple of queries from councillors, like why Lismore? When we consider the state of WA, Australia, the whole of the globe, there is countless catastrophes and disasters across the planet. I understand that. So we have a finite budget here that we can call on, and this is in New South Wales and Queensland that they are copping such devastation. The reason I have Lismore Council, I've highlighted that. We could go out to many different donation sites that cover Lismore and the surrounding areas and across the border north to Queensland and give them all 50 cents each. That won't do anything for anybody. My thinking in doing it to one particular place, Lismore Council, was it will go to them and their community. Now, they have a population, Lismore has a population of just under 50,000. They have a land area of 1,290 square kilometres. Bearing in mind, compare that to Stirling, we've got 105. So they've got a very big area that they have to cover, and I believe there's a number of Aboriginal communities that they also support, and they need help dreadfully, as well as everybody else who's got property and land holdings and businesses. I think it would be good use of this, in effect, quite minute amount of money of $10,000. It isn't going to go very far. I know there's been funding from state and federal commitments, etc., etc. This is only going to go a very small way. It might take away 2 trucks of waste. I really don't know. I just wanted to concentrate it in one very heavily hit area.
Thank you. Councillor Migdale, have you got anything to add?
No, I concur with Councillor Proud. I feel that in these devastating circumstances, as with when we see other devastating events occurring as a result potentially of our climate changing, if we are able to do good, we should do good. And in this instance, whilst it is not an incredibly substantial amount, it is from us. It is a gesture of goodwill, goodwill and kinship with our fellow council on the East Coast, and I believe it's the right thing to do in this instance, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sundry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a question. With our previous donations, have we ever given money to a local government?
Yes, I think we have.
I know we've done the bushfire relief fund by the Mayor of the City of Perth, but an actual local government.
I believe we have. Miss Hawkins, can you clarify?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, I believe we have done that in the past.
Yes.
Yep.
Just your mask.
Sorry, yes,
That's
mask.
right.
I actually don't have an issue with donating money, and I think this is a very worthy cause. But I'm just not sure whether the council is the right charity, because they're not a charity. They're actually an organisation, and I feel that even though $10,000 may be a minimal amount, I just don't know whether it's actually going to achieve what we anticipate it to achieve. But I'm happy to listen to debate.
And I guess I can probably just give a quick bit of clarification. I know that the intent of this was to ensure it got on the ground. So the checks that we've done would suggest that the Lismore Council can actually do it on the ground. There has been some media and concern around some of the agencies and the time it took with bushfires, etc., to deliver the on-the-ground support they needed. And I think so Councillor Proud's intent with this was to deliver it quickly and make sure it hit on the ground.
Thank you. I just, if I may, just quick
Sure.
on that.
Yep.
I think that that's fair, but it's not actually specific. So it's a bit different to the City of Perth Mayor's bushfire fund, for example, because you know the money that you're donating to that fund is going directly to the cause, whereas you're just giving a donation to a local government and they can effectively do what they want with it. And I understand that there may be a sentiment behind it, and they understand it's a gift for the floods. But anyway, I'll listen.
Sure. Councillor Perkoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very admirable cause. Great motion, but it's just because Lismore and, they went through a lot, the people at Lismore was in the news a lot more than other places. For example, Gympie, 52,000 inhabitants. Gympie got hit way before Lismore, well, a few days before, just as much devastation and so on. I concur with Councillor Sandry about where this money is going to be channeled. No problem with spending 10 grand. Great motion. I'm not happy that we've sort of cherry-picked one council which just happened to be mostly in the news. I can show you pictures of Gympie and other places in Queensland, worst floods in 11 years, absolute devastation and a bigger population. I would like to do a little bit more than just going, oh, okay, we'll just send it to this council here. Look, otherwise, I'm happy with what we need to do to help somebody out, but I think we can do a little bit better. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And again, to clarify that it is actually the Lismore flood appeal, so it is an actual flood appeal.
There's one.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask then
That be added?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Then that clarifies it, and I don't have an issue with it.
So the Lismore City Council flood appeal. If we can add that in, I think the mover and second would be happy with that. I'm guessing. Councillor Migdale, just nod yes. Councillor Ree.
Thank you. Yes, in the past we have.
Sorry, can I just get Councillor Hatton, just your mic off for a sec, if you can. Yep.
In the past, if only if it's in a specific area, we actually have donated to a council for a specific thing. Normally we would donate to the states, my apologies, normally we'd donate to the Lord Mayor's Appeal. So the Brisbane Lord Mayor's Appeal, the Sydney Lord Mayor's Appeal. And that to me always gets to the place. We have donated in the past to the Red Cross Appeal, we've donated in different ways. I agree that sometimes that taking out specific places at the detriment of another council is probably not a good idea when we're looking at overarching. And $1 can buy a lot of things when you're in that sort of environment. So I think it is important that we do donate, but I just wonder whether it might be better just giving it to the Brisbane Lord Mayor's Appeal so that it actually gets furrowed in further. But I'm quite happy either way.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants Councillor Hatton?
Yeah, thanks. I'm not going to dwell on it for too long, but just a couple of questions about is it enough? Councillor Perkoff was saying, is it enough? It's very, very honourable, and I will support it, no doubt about that. But it is coming from the Sterling Emergency Relief Fund, which is ratepayers' money. Is that correct?
Yes, it's
Okay.
ratepayers' money.
Now, I guess why I'm standing up talking is because it doesn't matter whether it's 10 grand, 100 grand, 20 grand, we're still making decisions on behalf of the ratepayers. There'll be ratepayers who are saying, well, why are we giving our ratepayers money to other states? Who made up that sum of money? Or some would say, oh, that's pathetic, $10,000, we should be giving more. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. So, yeah, look, it is honourable, I will support it, but I'm still a little bit worried about us being major decision makers, and have we really got, you know, the authority to just blanketly do it?
I can answer that, yes you do.
Yeah, thanks.
So with that, and look, I can only clarify the intent, you know, I'm sure all of that has gone through Councillor Proud's mind as it is all of yours, but enough, it'll never be enough, and you could go to every council on the East Coast at the moment, now, certainly. Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much. Look, obviously very important to help the eastern states at the moment with the disasters that are going on over there. Supportive of this motion. I did ask the question why Lismore myself as well at the time, and maybe it's something that this council consider about having some sort of a policy when disasters happen, how we donate funds so that we don't have to pick and choose different organisations, but if we have an overarching policy for the council saying when a disaster happens, these are the principles that we follow, it'll save the debate of which, why and how and who.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I think that's come up before. I think you'll find that's nowhere near as easy. A policy would probably have committed us in the last year to about $1 million. Thanks. The policy quoted in the report, but I think it's fairly broad. Yeah. So, Councillor Proud, would you like to close debate?
I will, Mr Mayor. Just a couple of comments. When we donate to the Lord Mayor's Bushfire Fund, the Warraloo, pretty much that goes only to the one event. We've got the whole of the eastern seaboard underwater at the moment. So we could give it to Brisbane or the Red Cross, and they will just divvy it up, remembering we've got $10,000. So even if you put $10,000 worth of 1 cent pieces, they still wouldn't get around, and what good would it do? My question to council as a whole is, who best to manage disasters in their own area? So if it was a disaster in Stirling, and we had one last July, not on the magnitude that we're talking about in the eastern states. The July floods, certainly in Doubleview Ward, there was 3 majorly hit suburbs. Who best to deal with that? Is it the Lord Mayor's account? Or is it the people on the ground, our nearly to be departed infrastructure director? Who is it? It's our emergency. We've got a panel here, emergency management. We've got councillor and 2 councillors on it. So who best to manage it? Is it us? Is it our officers who know what plant they've got? Or is it another entity like the Red Cross who will do whatever with it? It just might not have the same impact and get there straight away with no admin costs. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, that closes debate. Thanks, councillors. I will put that to the vote. All those in favour, please. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Well, I don't know if Councillor Migdale's dancing for us, or she's dropped something. All right, 14. Notice of motion for consideration, councillors. No indication. Item 15, questions by members of which due notice has been given. I have nil. Item 16, new business of an urgent nature. I have nil. That brings us to item 17, matters behind closed doors. For those viewers at home, please note that we'll shortly be moving behind closed doors. This means that we won't see you again until the next council meeting. So if you refer to the minutes of tonight's meeting, it will have the resolutions of these items on it. So we'll say goodbye to the viewers at home, and we'll now go to moving behind